Well, Jack, I get a little bit emotional talking about this. I got through public school without tampons in the male washroom. I just don't know how I got through that time. It was a difficult childhood and youth. But now boys in public school in Minnesota have tampons in their bathrooms, thanks to Tim Waltz. This is
Hey, fortunately for you, you started menstruating later than most boys, Jamie. So you were you were spared the embarrassment, you know. Uh,
this is so. There's something so evilly twisted here. What is this about?
the real breakdown right now is with the American media. I was thinking about this today. In 1984, as you know, Ronald Reagan won 49 states. And the only state he did not win was Minnesota. And the only reason he did not win it is because they knew we were going to win in a landslide. So they pulled all their advertising. So that lest they totally embarrassed Walter Mondale, right? If that election were being held today, it would be like this election. It'd be too close to call. In 1980, given the state of the media today, Jimmy Carter would have been elected to a second term because they simply would have covered up all his deficiencies.
Hmm.
People wouldn't have, they would have said that he was the greatest president ever, and that this inflation you think you're looking at is a mirage, and those Iranians, those hostages held in Iran well, they deserve to be there. They would be covering for him every step of the way. When you look at the difference between then and now, 40 years later, you see where the breakdown has come. This media now is unabashedly propagandistic. They're not even embarrassed about it anymore.
Mm.
And if you've lived, fortunately, I'm one of the things that comes with having been around for a while and paying attention to politics for a while, is you can see that evolution or devolution. And what happens, unfortunately, is that people who were reading the New York Times 20 or 30 years ago and are still reading it today, they read it then thinking it was the authoritative newspaper. They're reading it today, still thinking it's authoritative, and it's not. It's become, Pravda on the Hudson. It's a worthless piece of propaganda. It's not even good propaganda because it's so obvious.
Well, Jack, during the George Floyd riots that devastated Minneapolis and other cities, Minnesota was just it was burning. Its third precinct police station was burning. Everything was burning. The rioting and just so much violence. And Waltz just sat around and wouldn't call out the National Guard for a certain time period. He was enjoying that destruction, wasn't he?
Right. His bride, the Marie Antoinette of Minneapolis, was saying, "Let them smell the smoke of tires. Let them so they can feast on that." The what's interesting about this is that the left operates now as though there were no internet. I believe it's Jacob Fry, the mayor, who's sort of a Justin Trudeau wannabe. He looks like him actually. He's kind of styles himself that way.
Mm.
Even he was saying to Walsh, "Get me some National Guard. They're destroying this city." Right?
Mm.
It took him 3 days, and finally prodding from Trump to get it. Now there was I don't know if you've been following this today, but there was an extended interview with Trump was involved. I think Walsh was involved, and Trump was finally saying, "Well, finally, like you did something good. You finally called in the National Guard, right?" And after Trump was weighing in on it very heavily, and so the Democrats are running. Here's a clip of Trump praising Walsh for his handling of the Minnesota thing. They're shameless. They don't care.
Mm.
In fact, it's hard to believe a governor could have mishandled it as badly as he did. He was getting it from both the left, from the mayor, and from the right, from Trump, and he's still held out for 3 days. By the time they sent him in, just like at the Capitol, by the time they sent the guard in, all the damage had been done. They were just mopping it up. And Minneapolis, which had, for years, this, Jamie, had been a sort of a model city, safe, clean, harmonious, is now a hellhole. And it was a more abrupt transition than even San Francisco or New York City.